You really do want to know how you can measure whether or not these new measures are effective. And I recall within the next year after they closed the campus that tardiness had declined, and some other key factors had actually declined. So there was a definite improvement in the climate at the school.
Yeah.
I have to say, when I would go to the Fieldhouse for my son's track meets, I personally love the Fieldhouse. It reminds me of the Portland Expo, where I used to go and watch my older brother run track meets when he was in junior high school. So I personally love the feel of the Fieldhouse, but certainly there are improvements that can be made, and they should be made.
Yeah.
There was no attention to anything else besides the pool.
Yeah.
The pool had dominated the conversations at the school board level, and they hadn't even looked at anything else in the school. So for me, that was a missing piece in the conversation.
So the referendum ultimately, it was, I think, 37,000 votes. And the margin of difference between yes and no was like 30.
28.
28.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, so after all that work, standing in the cold, getting petitions and court battles, and are you pretty nervous the night of as those results are coming in, and it's 50% to 50% the entire night?
Well, I'm a very optimistic person, and I truly thought we would win by a much wider margin. And from my perspective, I think the reason we didn't win by a wider margin is that the school misrepresented the referendum. It promoted it as an academic and performing arts referendum, when in fact only 1.6 million of the 44.5 million would be spent on classrooms.
Yeah.
And that was 6 classrooms. And then the money for the performing arts had been whittled down when they were trying to cut down the cost of the referendum. So there was very little money going to either academics or the performing arts. And in fact, the majority, like 83% of the dollars, would be spent on the pool and tearing down a garage and building another garage. And that garage did not need to be torn down, as you well know.
Okay. After the eked out the 28 vote victory, the Imagine plan, the Imagine working group was established. And at first you were a member of that.
Yes, I was more than willing to take part, and I was hopeful at the start that it would be a balanced group that would be addressing the issue of what improvements need to be done to the school. But it was after several meetings I realized that the group that was being chosen was not a balanced group. And then the superintendent then appointed, 10 or 12 employees onto the group as well. So I decided it was not in my best interest to continue, and I stepped away from that.
So.
Right. So I don't understand the whole pension spiking issue. That's a problem. A great problem is also conflict of interest. The board's conflict of interest policy needs to be updated. It has 2 new board members with union ties. One of them is an Illinois Education Association paid leader, and she's sitting on our school board voting on union issues. So it's essentially the union is negotiating with the union.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, conflict of interest, usually do you have a financial incentive based on the outcome of a particular vote? And while you're saying that while there might not be a direct financial incentive, there is a financial link due to union membership and issues that impact union contracts.
Right.
Is kind of what you're saying.
Right. We shouldn't have the union sitting on the school board. It simply doesn't make sense, because the union is very well represented at the high school through the Faculty Senate, which is the name of its teachers union. And if you look at the teacher salaries and their benefits, you'll see that the Faculty Senate has been very powerful and very effective on the part of its membership in securing very high salaries and great benefits for the school. So their union is well represented. We do not need union representation on the school board.